Yeah, you made the call to Dan. So that's where we, because that's where we ended, right? So you made the call to Dan, and you were living at your mother and father's house.
Yes.
Okay.
When you called, did he pick up the phone? Wouldn't you be like in shock, like, oh my God, she's calling me?
No, not really. I had called him Christmas Eve, and he said, well, actually, before I even called him, I said, I asked God to find me a man that will make a good, a good husband. And it was funny because um, your father also prayed that I would come back to him.
Mm.
So the fact that we married on March 19th, and I had no knowledge that it was the day that the birds come back to Capistrano. There's an old story about hundreds of swallows would come back just on March 19th just to return. But I don't know about now. The world has changed so much. But
I've heard stories like that.
yeah.
It sounds familiar to me.
Well, anyway, we got married on March 19th.
How long was that after you made the first call?
Really wasn't that long.
Like,
Like
2
4
months? 5 months?
Not even.
Like 2 months?
Nope.
Like a month?
A
'Cause
month?
Kevin's dad was 4 months, right? Or
Yeah.
something.
4 years, 4.5 years.
How about a month?
Yeah, I would say about a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so then you moved in with Dan?
You can say that, yes.
Where was Dan living?
Well, actually, no. You see, he was living on a farm with his brother and his
Okay.
wife,
Oh,
Okay.
Frank.
and
Frank.
we used to live at a place called the Poly Hotel.
It was a real hotel?
Oh, you.
Like you actually lived in a hotel?
Mm-hmm.
For how long?
Well, for a couple of months.
Wow.
And it was so funny because it was $7, like $7 a day, and it was like, for two people sharing, two couples sharing one bathroom.
Oh.
So it was like, two couples on two, each side, and one community bathroom with a shower.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was very interesting.
And then where did you move after that after 2 months?
Um,
Was that in Honolulu?
yes. It was called the Poly Hotel, and
I wonder if that's still
Yeah.
there.
Mm.
I don't know if it's still there. But the thing was, there was already a bun in the oven, so.
Oh, another bun.
Yeah.
There was
Nelson.
Nelson.
Yeah, Nelson. So, again, I called around, and at that time, they did not want, nobody would marry a woman that was preggers. So, out of necessity, I called Reverend Kwok, the reverend that married me to Henry's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mizuno.
Okay.
So I bet you the minister was saying, "Oh, this woman, I'm presiding over her 2 marriages." But honest to God, I called other people, and I don't know why I had to be so honest to say I was pregnant.
You
Because
cannot tell, right?
yeah,
I mean, you
cannot
can't
tell really, and I wasn't showing. But you see, I am, what I am. So. Now, and I think I wouldn't even say anything. 'Cause
Yeah,
nobody
'cause
would
they
have
wouldn't even
known.
know.
So you're saying that the minister that married you and Dan was the same minister that married you and
Yes.
Okay. Same place?
Well, I got married in a church at first. Then I got married in his chambers.
Okay. But the
Yeah.
same building.
The same building.
Wow. Okay.
So you see,
So who was the witness? Grandma was there.
no, Actually, George Okimoto, and
Who's that?
Oh, Dad's
that's
friend.
Dad's best friend,
Oh, okay.
George Okimoto, and Yoshio Higa. Two men,
Mm.
and then there was Jake.
But you don't have any pictures.
No, no pictures. It was really a very, I would call it kind of pathetic. There's
It was just a
no
ceremony.
fanfare. Yeah, just
Yeah.
the marriage. But your father was so excited
Mm.
So
because that's the first time he bought a jacket. You know, it looked real nice.
so you got married, then you were living at the hotel at that time?
Um, just for another week, and then Mildred, you know, the people he worked for,
Mhm.
said, "Oh, I have a house on their property because they have a large property, huh? So they had this rental unit, and so he said, "Oh, why don't you come there and you know you can rent that place from." So that's where I stayed.
And Mildred is the
Is-
wife of
Uh,
Dad's older brother.
yes.
Mildred is the wife of Dad's older brother.
Yeah.
Okay, so family. Okay, okay. So she had Mildred called you and said they had a rental property.
Mm-hmm.
Where was that property at?
On her
On the farm.
on the farm.
On the
On
farm.
Frank's farm.
Yes, because you
On
see,
the
one
farm.
section was the pigs and some cows,
Okay.
but the other side, you know, had this one house
Where's that farm located?
on Luna Little Home Road.
Mm.
Lena.
We've been there before, right? Is that a really big house? Or no?
It was a fairly large house. It was.
I
Is that
vaguely
east of
remember.
Waikiki?
I'm terrible in directions. So
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Well, we can look it up on the GPS.
But you see, Luna Little Home Road, they're all beautiful homes now.
Mm.
It's a beautiful subdivision, but at the time when I married your father, had a lot of open spaces.
Right. Wasn't as developed.
Yes, it wasn't developed.
Farmland. So how long did you live there?
I lived there for approximately, I think not even a year.
Oh, so short.
Yeah, so
So Nelson was born there though.
yeah, he was about a month and a half when I had called the Hawaii Housing Authority, and they said there was an opening for a house, you know, at the housing, and I just jumped at the chance.
Where was Nelson born?
Queens.
You mean
Queen-
at the no, at the Kapiolani Medical Center.
Oh, that's where I was born.
Mhm. Yeah. So all the children were born there.
Oh, okay. So you moved to the housing?
Yes.
Where is the housing at?
No, where's the housing? Because I also lived in the housing with Kevin's father.
Mm.
So
Oh,
yeah, that's
I
right.
always, you know, I don't know what it is about. Yeah. Lived in the housing for 7.5 years.
7.5 years. So you and Dan lived in the housing for 7.5 years.
7.5 years.
So for 7.5 years, that means you had Kevin, Nelson, you had Camille then, right?
Yes.
But you didn't have Faye.
No, not. I had Faye when I was in this house.
Okay. And then at the 7.5 years, did you work?
No.
No.
I
Did
was-
Dan still work on the farm?
Yes.
So he worked on the farm. And then did you guys move from?
No, but you see, no, at the time he just started his lawn care business.
He just started out of scratch?
Yep,
Wow.
with nothing. And I remember waiting for our phone to ring, and for 3 weeks, nothing.
Mm.
No one called.
No phone calls. And we had the ad in the paper,
Mm.
says Dan's Yard Service.
Did you help him with all the business paperwork?
Basically, yes.
Because you have to know about all the, getting a business license. And,
Yeah, so I did, but it's really not that complicated.
Even like your insurance and stuff, like health
Mhm.
insurance. And
Yeah.
you have to do all that.
So, I was always on the phone. talking.
Okay. And then, so he started his Dan's. Is it lawn care?
Yard service.
Dan's yard service. He started that when you guys were living in the housing, and then did you guys move from the housing to this house?
Yes.
And you told us the story. Can you go over the story again of how you got this house? Because I remember you got really lucky.
It was a lottery or something.
Yes.
It was like a lottery.
It yeah, you know, the government had this 235 program, which I was totally unaware of. Anyway, one day, I told Dan, you know, there's this subdivision coming up in Ewa Beach. Can you please take me there? So he said, okay. And you know, he's always been very compliant. You know, if I say something, it's like somebody laid down the law. You know, so he brought us out here, and I went to the open house. I liked immediately. The first house I stepped into was the exact same design like this, and I loved the place. And anyway, I went to the main office, and there was a very gruff man there, and said, "Well, madam, does your husband make $1,025 a month?" And I said, "Good Lord, no." So he said, "Well, you know." So I just walked out, and 3 weeks later, again, you know, they had this big spread in the paper saying, you know, they're opening up a subdivision, and still no mention of the 235 program. And I asked your father, I said, "Can you please take me out there again?" And I know this time, you know, he was slightly, you know, he gave me the look, you know, "Why do you want to go out there again? We were just out there 3 weeks ago." I had told him exactly what the man had told me, you know. And anyway, I came out here, and I went back to look, and again, you know, I said, "Oh, this is the house I love." And I don't know what led me to go back to the main office, and I met this wonderful woman called Frances Uwe Unting. And she says, and just jokingly I said, "What do you have for people with no down payment?" And she said, "Well, Mrs. Takushi, you're in luck. For the past 3 weeks, President Nixon had a program called the 235 program for people just like you. And as long as you make $600 a month, you can own a home." And you could have knocked me over with a feather. Because I had no knowledge, absolutely nothing.
Right.
It didn't even come on the paper, or not even on TV, or nothing.
So it's just by luck that you went there and you asked.
That's why I say, you know, Jesus is Lord. Because without, I would still be in the housing. I would still be in the housing. I didn't have any money. You know, one time I had 300 pennies, and that's what I used to buy food. And just before I went to the store, I had dumped that pile of pennies on the table, and Kevin said, "Mom, I thought you told me you were poor. Look how much money we have, 300 pennies." And it was really, that's why I will fight to my death before I lose this house. I have to keep this house.
It's already paid off for
Is it
Yes.
paid off?
Yeah.
So the only thing is property tax.
Yeah,
right?
property
And that's a
tax.
piece
Yeah.
of cake.
Mhm.
It's not a problem.
Yeah,
I don't see this house going anywhere. I mean, it's not a problem.
And plus, you know, I have 2 unmarried sons. They have to have a place to live.
Actually, this is perfect for him, you know.
They have to. But you see, the amazing part is we got this house with no down payment, which
Right.
is ridiculous.
So they
Okay.
basically that program established your monthly payments to less than affordable for a $600
Yes.
a month
Mhm.
income.
My first payment was $148 a month.
Wow.
$148 a month. Can you imagine?
That's
That's
good.
crazy.
That's good. That's cheap.
Yeah. But you see, as Dan's income got better, we had to pay more. So the last 5 years, of the loan,
Right.
because I managed to pay it up in 20 years instead of 30.
30. Right. So you saved a lot of money.
Yeah, so I did.
Okay.
So anyway, I paid off the house in 20 years instead of 30 because I felt this need to, I always felt, once you didn't have a mortgage, everything would be like gravy. Yeah? So, no, it's like, it's really a miracle that we even own the house. Really.
So how fast did you move in from when you met this lady? Like a couple months, or
Actually, the houses were already being, worked on.
they were being constructed?
Yeah, so it was like the thing to do, every weekend.
You see how much was
Yeah,
built?
check it
Yeah,
out.
so I had pictures of it being actually built,
Yep,
and
pictures.
I had a
That's cool.
picture of Nelson and
I
Dan
think I've seen it.
in the back, and there was nothing.
Yeah.
It was
You
just
mean nothing
bare
behind?
dirt. Yeah, nothing
Wow.
behind.
Okay.
And it was just, so when I say Jesus is Lord, I mean it. I don't know why. He's been so good to me. I really don't.
You're a good person.
Well, not really. Not really. I should have been nicer to your father, though. I was quite mean to him. Yeah. Because, like I said, I had a huge crush on this Clifford Lum.
But you didn't see him. The
Yeah,
Clippers
I didn't see him, but I was amazed because we used to frequent this place called Capitol Drive-In, and they made the most wonderful hamburger steak. And Dan and I and the children, they were in the back seat, and we would all share 2 plates. And I saw Clifford sitting on the inside, and this was 15 years had passed, and my heart just started pounding like crazy.
So you recognized him right away?
Yes.
Wow.
But you see, that's how much of a torch I held for him.
Mm.
And I don't know why, because
But you didn't really know him though, right? Not
no-
personally.
not
Not really.
He was
not-
more of like physical features.
yeah, I mean, he looked like Uncle Sanford.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you think Uncle Sanford's attractive then?
Well, I would say not.
He's
You see-
a big guy.
No, you see, no. I'm more attracted to a charming person.
Okay.
Mhm.
My brother is very charming.
Well,
I
you'd
wouldn't
like
call him
Sam.
handsome. I wouldn't call
Sam.
Sanford handsome, but he's very charming.
Okay.
Very.
Good
very
talker, right?
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
talker.
I
Sweet,
mean,
sweet talker.
he's like a man that s- he can smile at a woman twice and she's flat on her back.
Right.
That's the
He's
kind
got
of
the
man.
charm.
Yeah, kind of a roguish kind of charm.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's work like that.
Like a ladies' man.
Yeah, ladies' men. But ladies' men are not necessarily the really gorgeous movie star handsome
That's
type.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's why you see con men that marry multiple women. They're nothing to look at.
Right, but their personality.
Yes,
The
I know
personality goes a
something
long
about
way.
yeah. They have almost like a hypnotic spell.
Yeah.
Like Hitler.
Oh yeah. No, I
Yeah.
definitely know what you're talking about.
Because Hitler, I don't consider him handsome, but he did have a share of women. And look, he controlled all of Germany at one time.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine? I mean, oh my goodness.
So you moved in, and then how many months did you move in after you found out you could get the place?
I found out it was in the summer, and then we moved in in December 12th.
You're probably really excited, yeah, the whole time.
Oh, to tell you, I was beyond excited.
Yeah.
I mean,
But your Dan was happy too.
yes.
It's such a huge difference, like just jumping into a house.
Yeah. And no, it wasn't just leaving the housing project, the people.
Just the people that.
Yeah, because
Kinda get 'em.
you know, poor as we were, I had to give Rose Vernes 25 cents.
Who's that?
Who's that?
She lived 2 doors from me, and she would cut. You know, he knew exactly when Dan left for work, 7:30 in the morning, and she would be, you know, at my doorstep, pounding on the door.
Oh, she's like a bully.
Yeah,
Mm.
the bully.
Oh,
of the
so
project.
she said if you didn't give her 25 cents, it was like a security thing, right? She would
Yeah,
be
it's
like,
almost like extortion.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. So, you know, she would pound on the door. And, you know, when you have a lot of kids,
Oh yeah.
you know, kind of tired, it's so hard for me to get up and, you know, run. So she would start kicking the door, from pounding to kicking. And
Wow.
I endured this for 7.5 years.
Oh, man.
So that's why I was so happy.
Happy to get
yeah.
out.
Mm.
Happy to get out. But you see, I couldn't get out because Dan wasn't making a lot of money.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
you know, I
You
was,
basically had to be there.
yeah, I had to be there. I was forced to be there.
That's in Honolulu?
Yes,
Honolulu.
yeah. It's on Ahi Street, A-H-E.
AH.
Mm.
Yeah, Ahi Street.
You want to take a break?
So,
I can stop it. You want
no,
to?
it's, like I said, I had a very, very, how shall I say it, a very colorful childhood. But I can honestly say I didn't have a childhood. There was many a time I felt like I was the parent and my mother was the child.
Why did you feel that way?
Because my mother had contracted gonorrhea.
What is that? That's a STD.
Yeah.
What does it do to you though? I don't.
It, you know, it's one of the real big STDs.
Does it change you? Like your.
Well, you see, that's the reason she couldn't conceive another child. There's such a big gap between Ron and me.
Oh.
See, she was sterile,
Okay.
and having that made her sterile.
Okay. Okay.
So you see, and she always told me, Peggy, I thank you for saving my life. So I told her, what do you mean by that? And, you know, I had this clinging behavior. Always had the fear that she would leave me. So I always hung on to her leg. Can you imagine? I hung on to her leg. Even when she was in the bathroom, my mother would say, oh, you know, I'm pooping. Don't you smell anything? And even if I did, I would say, no, I don't smell anything. I just was so happy to just be near her.
But why would you feel like she'd leave you though?
Because she really did want to leave me.
She tell you that?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So
did.
she would say that to you.
Yeah, she would say that to me.
Well, she left Carol too, right?
Yeah.
Molly.
But you see, she was a teenage woman that had 2 babies in her teen years.
And
So
that's like a
when you
no-no.
think of that, you know, how else would you expect a child to act? Because she was a child.
Mm.
You know, so it's really, you know, you can say she was a bad person, but throughout the years, I've come to realize that things happen, and
They do.
there's nothing. You know, she wasn't evil. She wasn't an evil person.
Your mom?
No.
She just had her own way.
Yeah, she had her own way, and she grew up by herself, so she really had no rules. Yeah.
So, your sister in Maui, right? Did you see her?
Carol.
No,
Carol?
I didn't.
She never came over. You
No.
never went.
No.
So Carol was left on Maui. Who took care of Carol?
Grandma. You know.
Oh, the Chinese.
No, the Japanese, you know, Kuosaki.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because, you know, grandma's mom, And she already had 13 children. Can you imagine taking on my sister Carol?
With the two kids.
So, you
Wow.
know, it's,
So Carol was raised by Kozaki.
yeah,
Oh.
The grandma, right?
yes.
So
Yeah.
you guys moved in here, and then you had Faye, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it, right? I mean,
No,
Dan-
actually,
Dan's-
I got pregnant.
oh yeah,
I got pregnant with the IUD, you know, inside of me.
Mm.
what's the what?
It's
That, Intrauterine
Contraceptive.
device.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
a
it's like the
contraceptive
pill.
thing
It's a contraceptive thing.
Oh, okay.
that you
yeah.
put inside.
I had that put in me, but somehow I got pregnant even with it, you know. So anyway, I got pregnant with that, and I had a severe infection. Oh, I had raging fever.
Mm.
So
Did you go to the hospital?
and and in the meantime, I had no idea I was pregnant. You know, I had no idea. I just knew I was terribly sick, and then I was having so many problems with the IUD. I was bleeding, and so I told Dr. Lee, you know, the last doctor I went to see. I went to all my previous doctors were Caucasian, but I went to Dr. Lee because, you know, living this far, he opened till 7 p.m. in the evening, whereas the Schwab clinic, they close at 3:30. So, you know, so I went there for mostly convenience, but oh, Dr. Lee is such a nice doctor. So that's how, you know, you were delivered by him, Dr. Lee. And in the meantime, I was having so much bleeding, so I told Dr. Lee, anyway, no, before I went to Dr. Lee, I went to Dr. Cardi, because that's the doctor that delivered my other babies, and I told him, you know, I would like to have this thing removed because one night I was bleeding so badly, and you know, Dad took my temperature and it was like 104 degree,
That's
and
dangerous.
he called Dr. Cardi, and you know, both of us were such, you know, so naive. I mean, we really. So he talks to the doctor and he says, my wife's temperature is 104 degrees, and Dr. Cardi says, oh, don't you think it's time for you to bring her to the hospital? And only then it clicked, you know, that I should go into the
104 is
hospital.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to the hospital and I had that removed, but only to find out I was pregnant, you know. But that also caused me to miscarry, you know.
So it was because you got pregnant with the
Yeah,
the
yeah. So I was about a couple months pregnant, but I lost that child. But I have a sneaking feeling it was a boy, because with boys I had really dirty complexion. Cause normally I don't have pimples, yeah, but when I carried boys, I had a lot of pimples. So I knew I had a boy. Well, anyway, I suffered from this condition called empty arms. I don't know, I started longing for a child.
right.
Yeah, my arms actually started aching.
You had three of them running around.
No, but they always told me, Mom, get another baby because the baby's getting old. You know, like they
Who's-
refer to Camille.
Kevin was saying that. Or no?
Well, you know, the kids.
Right.
And, you know, and I was saying, yeah, right. But, so it's so funny because had I not lost that other child, I wouldn't have had Faye. Because had I had that other child, you know, I would have had my tubes tied.
Right.
Because I always told myself 4 is all I could afford.
Yeah, 4 is a lot of kids.
Yeah, 4 is a lot of kids. And considering, you know, how hard Dan had to work.
But by then he was full time on his own business. Right?
Yeah.
He quit the farm.
Mhm.
He eventually quit the farm.
Yeah,
and just-
But he had already invested 22 years of his life there.
At the farm.
Yeah. So we often talk that, if he had worked, even joined the service, he could retire, with a good retirement. But, it's like talking about spilled milk.
Right. You can't go
Yeah,
back.
really.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
But that was at least family related. I mean, his brother. Owned the
But you
farm.
see, the very, I find it very sad, but they really took advantage of Dan's good nature.
Yeah, that's not good.
They didn't pay him for 4 years.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not.
He worked for 4 years without pay.
Without pay.
That's not right.
So,
It was a pig farm though.
yes.
So for pigs, they slaughtered the pigs then for meat. They did.
Well, actually, it was more for marketing. They had a, they would send it to market.
Okay.
So it was mostly marketing. And on the weekends, different nationality would come and buy pigs, and they would slaughter the pigs
Got it.
right
Okay.
on the farm.
Okay. 20. I didn't realize he worked there that long.
Yeah, 22 years.
So if he's there 22 years, he finally pulled out when he was like in his 40s? 30s?
No,
30s?
he started work when he was 37.
He started his lawn care?
Yeah, lawn care.
Or not lawn
37.
care, but yard.
Yeah,
Dan's
yard business at
Yard business.
37.
And then when was he able to go? Was it pretty quick that he was able to go fully on his own at that point? Business started picking up.
Yeah, did.
Okay. And then he basically just did that the rest of.
Yeah. And then midway, he got interested in repairing lawnmowers.
Yeah.
So we had a friend called Mr. Joyce, and he was an expert repairing lawnmowers.
Okay.
So for 9.5 years, he repaired lawnmowers.
He did that on top of the yard work.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So he's busy then. 'Cause
Yeah.
he'd have to do the yard work and then repair lawnmowers on top.
So you can understand why he taking his retirement so hard, because he is one person that the harder he worked, the better he felt.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a lot of pride too.
Yes.
I'm sure.
And work defines